horse-meat, while the Tsar is feasting everyone else who has done anything of note, and yet he never thinks of asking any of us." "But he has," Hammond said earnestly. "Indeed, Captain," he added, turning towards Laurence, "I am here to request your attendance. It is the Tsar's birthday today, and it is, of course, of all things desirable that you should attend as a representative not only of His Majesty's government—" Temeraire flattened his ruff at the mention of that body of so-called gentlemen, but Hammond threw an anxious look at him and hurried on. "But of our friendship, indeed our intimate ties with China. I wondered if, perhaps, you might be prevailed upon to wear the imperial robes of state, which the Emperor has been so kind as to bestow upon you." Despite a strong sense of indignation at being himself neglected in the invitation, Temeraire could not help but approve this idea, wishing to see Laurence at least recognized as he deserved. But Laurence had a very peculiar horror of putting himself forward. He would at once refuse, Temeraire was sure. He always required the most inordinate persuasion to display himself even in honours which he had properly earned. "As you wish," Laurence said, without lifting his head from his letters. His voice sounded distant and a little strange. Hammond blinked as though he himself had not expected to meet with so quick a success, and then he hastily rose to his feet. "Splendid," he said. "I must do something about my own clothes as well. I will call for you in an hour, then, if that will do. I hope you will pardon me until then." "Yes," Laurence said, still remote, and Hammond bowed deeply and took himself out of the clearing nearly at a trot. Temeraire peered down at Laurence in some surprise, and then in dismay said, "Laurence? Laurence, are you quite well? Are you ill?" "No," Laurence said. "No, I am well. I beg your pardon. I am afraid I have received some unhappy news from England." He paused a long moment, still bent over the letter, while Temeraire held himself anxious and stiff, waiting. What had happened? Then Laurence said, "My father is dead." Lord Allendale had been a stern and distant parent, not an affectionate one, but Laurence was conscious that he had always had the satisfaction of being able to respect his father. While not always agreeing with his judgment, Laurence had never blushed for his father's honour, both in private and in public life, unstained by any reproach, and in this moment Laurence was bitterly conscious that his father could not have said the same of his youngest son. His treason had broken his father's health, had certainly hastened this final event. Laurence did not know if his father could ever have been brought to understand or to approve the choice which he had made. He had reconciled himself to his own crime only with difficulty, and he had before him every day all the proofs which any man could require of the sentience and soul of dragons. He had seen those dragons dying hideously, worn away by the slow coughing degrees of the plague. He had with his own eyes witnessed their agony and seen the carrion mounds of 100 beasts raised outside Dover. He had known what the ministry did in deliberately infecting the dragons of Europe with that disease, a wholesale murder of allies and innocents as much as of their enemies. All this had been required to turn his hand to the act, to make him bring the cure to France and give it into Napoleon's hand. And even so he had recoiled from the act at first. He had dreamt of the moment of crisis again only 3 nights ago, of Temeraire saying, "I will go alone," and afterwards in the dream Laurence found himself in an empty covert, going from clearing to clearing, calling Temeraire's name, with no answer. With an effort Laurence recalled himself to his circumstances. Temeraire's head was lowered to peer at him, full of anxiety. "I am well," he said again, and put his hand on the dragon's muzzle as reassurance. "I am not overset." "Will you not take anything? Jerry," Temeraire called, raising his head, "pray go and fetch a cup of hot grog for Laurence, if you please. As we have nothing better, it must do," he added, turning back down. "Oh, Laurence, I am so very sorry to hear it. I hope your mother is not hurt. Have the French invaded them again? Ought we go at once?" "No," Laurence said. "The letter is a month old, my dear. We are too late for the funeral rites." He did not say that he should scarcely have been welcome, with or without a 20-ton dragon. He died in his bed. My mother is not ill, only much grieved.